Hello, welcome back to Music to Your Ears, where we talk about all things music. I'm your host, Arroyo, and today we're diving into one of the most transformative decades in modern music, the 1960s. From the British invasion to Motown, from psychedelic experiments to folk revolutions, the 60s completely reshaped what music could be. To give some context, the 1960s were a decade of massive change. Civil rights movements, anti-war protests, youth culture, and new technologies all collided to create a perfect storm for musical innovation. Music wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was identity, rebellion, and social commentary. Artists weren't afraid to push boundaries, and audiences were hungry for something new. We can't talk about the 60s without mentioning the British invasion. In 1964, the Beatles landed in the US, and the world was never the same. Their early rock and roll sound quickly evolved into more sophisticated, experimental music. The Beatles paved the way for bands like the Rolling Stones, the Who, and the Kinks. Suddenly, British bands dominated American radio. The energy was raw, wild, and irresistible. This invasion didn't just change popular music, it set off a global cultural shift. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Motown Records was crafting some of the most polished, soulful music the world had ever heard. Artists like The Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, and The Temptations created a sound that blended gospel, rhythm and blues, and pop magic. Motown's music brought black artists to mainstream audiences and shaped the sound of American culture. Their songs were smooth, emotional, and dancing was impossible to resist. It still is. As social tensions rose, so did the voice of folk movement. Artists like Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and Peter, Paul and Mary used simple melodies and powerful lyrics to address civil rights, war, and political injustice. Dylan's move from acoustic folk to electric rock at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival shocked fans, but it also signaled a turning point, the merging of political lyricism with rock energy. If you haven't, I would recommend you to watch A Complete Unknown, the newest Bob Dylan movie. It'll give you a great idea of the circumstances that Bob Dylan lived in that made him take that turn. By the mid to late 60s, music took a psychedelic turn. Influenced by counterculture and experimentation, artists explore new sounds, studio techniques, and lyrical themes. Bands like The Doors, Jefferson Airplane, Pink Floyd, and Jimi Hendrix Experience pushed creative boundaries. Distorted guitars, unusual instruments, reversed audio, and surreal lyrics became part of the musical vocabulary. The Summer of Love in 1967 elevated psychedelic rock into a cultural phenomenon, capturing the spirit of freedom, exploration, and rebellion. The 60s also gave birth to rock legends who still influence musicians today. Jimi Hendrix redefined electric guitar. Janis Joplin brought raw, emotional power to her vocals. The Beach Boys revolutionized harmony and studio production with albums like Pet Sounds. These artists didn't just make hits, they expanded the possibilities of music itself. The influence of 1960s music is everywhere. Modern pop, rock, hip hop, and indie all borrow from the innovation of that decade. The 60s taught musicians to experiment, to challenge norms, and to use music as a form of expression and change. It was more than a sound, it was a cultural awakening. My recommendation this week will be to visit your favorite song from the 60s and post it on the throwback wall. I know for a fact that one of the singers I mentioned rang a bell. So let us know which song from the 60s really hits even today. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the music of the 1960s. If you enjoyed today's episode, check out our past episodes and tune in next time as we explore more iconic moments in music history. Until then, keep the vinyl spinning and keep the spirit of the 60s alive.